Thank you so much for having me.
I'm really excited for tonight, for the concert. And well, my first question would be, in an interview with Stereogum, you once said, the computer became my answer to independence. So what would you say, what makes you feel so free in electronic music?
I don't know if the music that I'm doing is considered electronic music. It's just made a lot on the computer, in the box as some people like to call it. I think obviously the independence that comes along with having all the instruments that you could wish for in one software is the independence that I'm talking about. Instead of, having to call a guitar player or whatever, you can just do it on your own.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And only 4% of all producers in the world are female. So why do you think producing is still mostly a male profession?
I don't know. I think that probably historically female musicians would not get the same opportunities, and then today we're kind of experiencing a second, third, or fourth wave of the outcome of that being that female artists don't consider themselves able to do that kind of stuff. I think that has a lot to do with the fear of technology, probably. But also, I think it's just one of those things where it used to be that we were not giving the same opportunities, but now today, even though we are given the same opportunities, we have this, anxiety, this fear of really trying it for ourselves.
Yeah, that could be possible. Do you have any female role models in producing or electronic music?
I mean, I love Alice in Wonderland and Charlie XCX, who are both, self-produced, etc. This is in electronic music, and I don't know. I mean, it is a very rare thing to find, for sure.
You recently released your latest single, Nails. I love that song, by the way.
Thank you.
And it's also the first song you released on your new label. So what made you change labels?
I think, I don't know, I don't feel like it has changed yet. I kind of feel like things are happening right now simultaneously. There's something very gradual that is happening right now. City Slang, my first label, a German label, and Atlantic are both working on my previous album, Kids, right now. So it's kind of like a nice gradual change for me. I think the reason is always about, trying to explore more options, trying to see where I can find new people to listen to my music. It's about growth, obviously.
Okay, so was that like a spontaneous change, or did it went on over time?
It wasn't. There's nothing spontaneous about signing a new label. But definitely there was one point during the campaign of Kids that we were approached by a number of labels, and then it became a situation where we were able to actually choose the ones that we want to work with, as opposed to, I don't know.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that was nice.
And talking about nails, in the song you sing about digging your nails into a person's face or in a woman's face. Would you say you're a jealous person?
No, I wouldn't say that I'm a jealous person, but I do get jealous every now and then, every so often, and I think that it really depends on where I am with myself. If I'm in a weaker spot in my life, I would get more jealous and want what other people have more. But I did feel like, talking about jealousy is cool. I don't know, just tackles an emotion that seems to be ugly, and I kind of I don't know, fleshing out ugly sides of myself and of, other people.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the history of the song, or what is your anger directed at?
I mean, the song basically started with me clicking on things with my nails. I used to have, right now it's just awful to show my nails because I've been touring for a long time and it's just really bad. But I've been, doing my long nails for a while. It's been a thing that I started to get really obsessed about because it kind of felt to me like it's, I don't know, an expression of femininity and power, and I just liked how it looked. And And one thing that I've noticed that I'm doing is like, I don't know, hearing the sound of my nails on different things. And so Oli, my partner, who's the producer of the project, my co-writer, etc., is we started recording those sounds because it sounds differently on glass, on plastic, etc., and sampled it, and then it became a beat, and we thought that it would be cool to write a song about nails. But obviously, you know, nails are not an interesting enough concept, you know, for me. I don't know, maybe it is, but for me, it was never, the song Nails is not about nails. It's just about, you know, how sometimes you could get jealous and get kind of violent.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to let it out.
But I think it's pretty interesting that you, like you said, you start with the nails and with the sound. Is it like always that way? Do you always compose your songs by the beat and not by the lyrics, or what comes first in your songwriting process?
I used to answer that question. I'm happy to say that I used to answer that question that it usually starts with the beat and then the words or the melodies come. But now we've done quite a process with trying to change that, because we felt like we were getting inside like a really comfortable comfort zone where we do the same things in the same way every time, and it kind of sort of leads us to the same things in a very general way, because obviously we're not writing the same song all the time. But so we did a couple of, you know, we tried other things, and I do find myself, you know, when I write music and not tour, finding new ideas in conversations, finding new ideas by, you know, walking the street and thinking about a concept, writing to the piano, which is something that I used to do early on, so I came back to it, kind of like shifting the method now.
So you're trying to be more experimental with like your way of songwriting.
Yeah, right, I guess, yeah, and just switch it up, because I mean, I think we will now start to work on album number 3. It's a good time to say, I mean, this is how we usually do things, let's do it differently.
I love that. Yeah, but well, despite you having like this defensive attitude in Nails, your album Kids has more like a more positive tone, like I would say, compared to your first album maybe. But how do you perceive the world right now? Do you feel like pessimistic or optimistic with all the things going on right now in the world?
I think like I'm an optimistic person, and that is why I get very, I criticize things, because I don't think that you criticize things that are happening when you don't think that things have the ability to change. I think that I'm an optimistic at nature, and I feel like I have faith in humanity.
That's great.
I don't know. Today, maybe I'm in a weird day.
But that's also interesting, because you once said in an interview that you think you were born angry already.
Yeah.
So, I mean, would you still say you're an angry person, like in general?
Yeah, I'm a very well trained angry person. I went to therapy to deal with my anger, and it has nothing to. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to do with, you know, the wrongdoings of people or the world, which is what makes me angry. This is what I realized. I mean, what makes me angry is me and how I perceive things, and I'm better with that right now. But every now and then, you know, my nature comes back, and things could very much frustrate me, and I could think a lot, you know, things like about injustice when it comes to very small scale things or very large scale things. I think that when I see injustice, it really annoys me.
Yeah, I get that. But I would say personally that being angry as a woman is defined like differently than when men are like generally angry. Would you say that's difficult, like as a woman or as a female musician, like with this anger inside? I mean, I would say it's different, but I don't know.
I'm sure it's different. I mean, I think it is very hard to argue with the fact that the experience of a female, I don't know, or whatever, a female, I would talk from what I know, a female musician's experience is different from a male musician. I think that when I'm angry, it's perceived differently than when a man is angry.
Yeah.
I feel like, in a weird way right now, because it's weird, like the bigger my project gets and the more I become like, I don't know, the boss of people in a weird way, and of many male people with penises. I see that people are reacting to my anger in a way that is like trying to avoid it or trying to be very cautious with me and stuff like that. And I think that is one thing that I'm trying to fight, like not surrounding myself with people who try to avoid my emotion. Eggshells or like yes men, yes women. I mean, no, I get to fight a lot with my women, my women crew members, and that's awesome because every now and then they would be like, you're just a bitch, which is important. But with men, it's they I don't know, they
maybe
avoid conflict.
Of angry women, I don't know. But
I'm not that angry. I mean,
no, of course not. But
I'm not that angry.
Okay, different topic. You wrote and recorded your last album during Corona times, and songs like "No News on TV" describe the feeling of being locked up. Like, how would you reflect on that time?
Now it seems like the most beautiful time for me and for humanity. It seems like a gift that we got given from the universe or God or whatever it is that you believe. I mean, retrospective, I have such a huge nostalgia for that time. It had a lot of, for me, I experienced, like everyone else, a lot of anxiety, but also I felt that I was freed from the things that I was jailed in the normal world, and I think that was the idea behind No News on TV, like somebody getting unjailed all of a sudden, and then you're like, I think there's actually like a thing that happens to prisoners who get out of jail and want to come back to jail because there's something so familiar about it. So I kind of felt
the outer world.
So I kind of felt the same way once I was freed from having to chase and having to be a part of the crazy rhythm of the world. All I wanted was to for the noise to come back, for the hecticness of life to come back.
Yeah. And I mean, the coronavirus also made it quite impossible to tour for a few years. And now that it's possible, I feel like many musicians talk about having this social anxiety to go back on stage. How is it for you to be back on stage? For me, the weird thing is that I live in Tel Aviv, Israel, and Israel has been extremely quick on locking down, on getting vaccinated, etc. So my COVID experience was an on and off experience. I during COVID I did some shows in Israel, etc. Obviously it wasn't the same, and I think that the first time that I did a show after a long period of time, for me it was like a bit overwhelming. But I think that my experience with that was not as extreme as people from Europe who just came back to touring, I don't know, probably this spring after so many months. So crazy.
I can definitely see how that could be intense.
Yeah. You once said in an interview that music is like a religion to you. Do you remember like the first time you had like this religious experience with music?
It's a religion for me, not because I'm experiencing this spiritual. I mean, I do experience very strong emotional things that happen to me, and music has shifted me in a very, very profound way many times, and still until today. For me, I think that what I meant by saying that music is my religion is because I think that for many people who have belief or religion, it's like the thing that they hold on to keep them in a feeling like there is a meaning, like you're going towards something, like there's a direction and an intention behind everything. And I feel that many people would who have religion would say that this is a good thing in their life, and they tend to be very happy and satisfied. And I don't have that. I grew up non-religion home, and I think that music has been for me that thing, you know. It's the reason to wake up in the morning. It's something to explore, something to go deep into. There's always something that you don't know about it, so that is why I feel like I made that comparison.
And do you have like a childhood experience where you remember like, oh my gosh, that was the first time I listened to some music and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this?
I do have like one thing. It's a story that I feel like I've told for so many times. So maybe I did.
But I haven't heard it. So.
Yeah. I was going with my mom. My mom drove me from my home to kindergarten when I was probably like 4 or 5, and we had a cassette tape at the car where we had, you know, the Beatles most of the time playing, and I knew all the songs and all the lyrics without even knowing any English whatsoever. And it was raining and I was sitting at the front seat, which is also something that used to happen in the 90s. You would be a small child and you could sit in the front seat and my hands would be on the dashboard. My legs would be on the dashboard, and together with the windshield, I would move my legs from one side to the other. It was raining, windshields, my legs, and then at a certain point came a song by the Beatles, and the rhythm of the song was synchronized with the rhythm of the windshields and my legs, and at that point I was like, everything is everything, and we're all connected, and music, and I mean, I felt like I was a part of a movie, and I think it was really special. And every now and then it happens, you know, because things have different rhythms, and then sometimes they synchronize. And every time it happens with music, I'm like, wow, this is the shit.
But do you remember the name of the song, like by the Beatles?
Yeah.
Which album?
Maybe when I'm 64, I think. It
was like that's this rhythm, yeah.
You know? Yeah. Maybe it was that song. I think so.
Well,
I'm not sure.
It's a good song, so we'll take that. And you come from a like jazz / acoustic background in music, so but then you fell in love with this, what you said, not electronic music, but more or less. Could you imagine going back to your musical roots, or is it something you will not return to?
I don't think I'm gonna make jazz music, but I think that now when we did Kids Against the Machine, it was in a way coming back to my roots. Kids Against the Machine is the album of reimagining kids with acoustic versions, and then I felt like when we did that, a lot of my background in jazz and learning all these instruments really came in handy, and I was kind of going back to that. And also a lot of, you know, the influences that we had at that time were jazz influences. I mean, so I think like many things, I mean, I took a deep dive into jazz and also heavy metal and classical music. I mean, I've been very inconsistent with my musical taste up until I don't know when, and then I feel like every now and then I just grab something and use it for what I do today, which is like I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I couldn't describe it either. Yeah. But do you have like a genre you don't like, or you try but you feel like it's not working for me?
I cannot listen to heavy metal anymore. This is for me like how the fuck, I mean, I cannot do it anymore.
I can relate, but
our tour manager loves it, and it's a pain in the ass.
Like you said, you write and you compose all your songs with your partner. I wondered, like, how do you guys manage not to get on your nerves if you like spend 24/7 together?
We don't manage. We don't manage. We just
sounds hard, like being.
We fight, and it's really important to know how to fight. Really, I mean, I think that people spend so much energy trying not to fight instead of learning how to fight well. I think that fighting, you know, we do that ever since we're young kids. We do it with our siblings. It's a very important form of communication between human beings when, you know, the civilized way of communication is not right anymore for the situation. And I feel like fighting is a very accelerated way of communication. You know, you just say everything that you had to say and then it could be done. But the smart thing to do is for it to be done.
Yeah.
You know, you fight and then a moment later you could just be friends again. You don't have to hold on to, you know, you said this. And so I think that what we are getting better at is just shortening the time between fighting like crazy and then being friends again.
Yeah. Thank you so much for meeting with me today. And
sure thing.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the concert tonight.
Thank you so much. I hope you too.